Oh hi there. My name is Mez, otherwise known as Netwurker Mez, and I'm here to chat to you about several ways to tackle the realm of digital art and associated areas of creative practice.
Hey dog. Sup? I wanna be a digital artist? Tell me how, yeah. And make it quick, I have a hot date playing around with glitch.com. It isn't going to play itself, you know?
That's, well, nice to meet you too, I'm sure. You sure seem keen to get right to the point. Unfortunately, my style of digital arts practice doesn't lend itself to such immediate unpacking with easy descriptions. If you want to join the ranks of elite digital artists, I'm not sure if I'm the right person to be talking to.
Yeah, you are. You've got an arse-kicking, mother-humping ranking on all the search engines. You spell your networker name with a U, rather than an O. You get invited to all the latest shows and you exhibit everywhere. So just fill me in, right?
Well, I'm not sure I'd agree with you with all of that. I have been practicing as an online electronic creative for quite a while, and even started out the main part of my practice right there at your university library at the computer labs. Yes, that's right. I did attend UOW back in the dark ages, that is, 1995. Back then I used online chat sites and code programs to create interactive microfictions which evolved gradually into my language system termed mezangelle. The theorist Catherine Hales once described mezangelle as a bilingual practice that breaks the conventional link between phoneme and written mark, forging new connections between code and English.
Oh yeah, I know all about mezangelle. It's the shiz, where you use all those backwards and forwards brackets and jumbled stuff, yo.
Well, yes, you can choose to interpret it like that. I must say I think of it as evolving from immersion in email exchanges, computer programming languages and chat software such as YTalk, WebChat, and IRC. To mezangelle means to take poetic phrases and alter them in such a way as to extend and enhance meaning beyond the predicted or the expected. It is similar to making plain text hypertextual via the arrangement and expansion of words, via the insertion of symbolic and actual computer code. Mezangelle attempts to rewrite traditional poetry conventions through layered meanings that are both structurally and symbolically embedded in each work. Mezangelle has at its core a social commentary function. It is largely reactive to, and evolves within, online information streams. When creating with mezangelle, my aim is to encourage continued exploration via technology through curiosity, play and repeated questioning and collapsing of institutionalized concepts involving art and theory.
Yeah. That's what I said. I mean, without the extra bits. But yeah, I wanna get all radical. I wanna make things that don't fit. I wanna make all the shiny. I wanna make new media. Tell me more about that.
I can see you're not really clear on what makes someone want to start using technology for artistic or expressive production. Let me give you a bit of background that might help when considering taking the path of a digital or new media artist.
Yeah, get on with it.
I'd try. The first concept you need to get your head around is to do with the notion of elastic identities, or avatars. For digitally connected or networked artists, identity operates as a crucial projective platform, one that allows them to establish an identity or even the brand. Artists might use fluctuating identities for both directed expression, such as the application of traditional artist physical spaces via augmented reality technology, or simply as a way of developing a persona via which to create or engage directly with an audience. For these types of creatives, identity becomes a series of fragmented reality sets that need to be constantly channeled, monitored and updated, similar to creating different profiles across various platforms, such as your Twitter identity and nickname being different to your Facebook profile or nickname. These identities, established through the use of avatars or profile creation, can alter according to the foibles of specific platforms and interfaces.
I getcha. You're saying I can use my World of Warcraft character as a cheap way to make art, right?
No, not as a way of making art on the cheap. It's not as simple as that. Take for instance, one of my latest collaborations with a group of international artists called the Third Faction. I'm one of the founding members of this fantastic arts guild based directly in the game of World of Warcraft. We try to subvert out-of-the-box gameplay by encouraging empathy and cooperation in a progression-loaded game environment. One past project of ours, called /Hug, attempted to establish a non-governmental aid organization in the World of Warcraft game environment. We did this through a mixed reality installation that demonstrated the work of the Third Faction Collective and was inspired in part by the actual Red Cross. The /Hug project was presented as an installation at an international arts exhibition held in 2009. It encouraged viewer interaction in carrying out helper missions through a hands-on approach by assisting other players while in-game and completing various quests. The Third Faction Collective have also just finished another project called DPS, or Demand Player Sovereignty, through a series of workshops that were presented at the 2011 Inter-Society of Electronic Arts at Istanbul in Turkey. The DPS project is a civil disobedience movement. The project goal was to subvert the deliberate factional conflict within the World of Warcraft game environment while drawing parallels to actual geophysical conflicts occurring nearly daily around the globe. DPS used quest add-ons and interventions both in the real world and the World of Warcraft.
Lol. Games for the win.
Well, that's one way of looking at it, I guess. I prefer to think of it as using appropriate or relevant avenues for expression and creation, a bit like a painter would use a particular shade of color or shape or size of a canvas in order to achieve specific effects or results. I know that generally, many artists don't use games to produce artistic output, but there are many people that do. Search for Joseph Delap's project, Dead in Iraq, the Woomera projects, Escape from Woomera, and Joe D's untitled game. All these examples really show how gamers who are both activists and artists can use gaming platforms to express conceptual and cultural inversions, using mediums traditionally slotted for pure entertainment.
Right. I'll get my characters cranking later when the servers come back up. You ever used Ventrilo? OMG, it's awesome sauce.
I use Ventrilo all the time, from audio conferences to using it for its original gaming intentions, such as when I'm raiding with my non-arts World of Warcraft guild. It's a type of technology that's made for reappropriation in mind, with the ability to engage with multiple modalities all at once, using the chat function as well as the audio to record and enhance communication.
LOL. So you do actually game for reals? Tell me your tune's name. What server are you on? I'll look you up on the World of Warcraft Armory site.
I'm not going to tell you what my main World of Warcraft tune or character is called. You can find that out yourself, I'm sure. Interesting though that even my main character created primarily for the act of gaming has now become a usable character that pops up in a variety of projects I've worked on over the years. She's appeared in a type of alternate reality documentary, and has also been a secondary character in a mixed reality performance at a Canadian gallery. This installation and performance involved projection of the gaming character's Twitter stream and physical printouts of the dialogue that resulted between the characters and audience members using Twitter. She's also most recently popped up as part of a collaborative endeavor called Remix the Book, which I contributed to in character.
Ha! Gotcha. Just found that project. That's about a dude called Mark America. Right? And by the way, what's the skinny on that mixed reality stuff? How can reality be all mixed up?
Now that's a very good question. Remember I was talking earlier about what makes artists want to begin creating in an electronic or digital realm? Well, utilizing mixed reality is one of the ways that creators can make the leap from real-world creation, that is, making physical objects like sculpture, to the virtual, that is, creating in a non-physical, or, as I term it, a synthetic environment. Mixed reality is the area that overlaps both definitive realities, what I call the nice middle ground that exists between the geophysical and the synthetic.
Whoa. Slow down, egghead. I get the idea of the real being real and not so real, but how do newbies like myself get to use anything close to mixed reality? Do I get to dress up as a furry and go all cosplay or LARPy on your ass?
Hey, you're funny. but also strangely correct, in an odd way. Both cosplay and LARPing, or live-action role-playing, are mixed reality, in that they take elements from fictional and imagined or recreated narratives and worlds and perform them in the geophysical. To make the concept of mixed reality a little easier to understand, how about we take a look at some of the documentation from the projects I've just been talking about? It will make things clearer, I'm sure.
Welcome and thank you for becoming a volunteer for /Hug. /Hug is the only NGO on Azeroth specifically committed to providing aid to those most in need. The volunteers of /Hug are a league of concerned individuals like you.
They understand that those in need have no borders, nationalities, races or factions. By volunteering as an aid worker for Hug, you are joining this noble group. Hug welcomes volunteers from all levels of expertise. The smallest of contributions can help.
The application of a first aid bandage, fishing, cooking for the hungry, or just providing a comforting embrace to those in conflict are examples of the basic work that our volunteers carry out every day. Advanced volunteers help with translation, provide support in the field, and conduct special aid operations.
And if you would like to volunteer in the future or make a charitable contribution, please pick up some of our promotional materials, visit us at thirdfaction.org, or send an email to hugs@thirdfaction.org.
The following program contains documentaries of /Hug volunteers and a variety of training videos. We hope that you find it inspiring and that you will join us soon as a volunteer of /Hug. After you watch the program, you can immediately begin volunteer aid work in the adjacent fieldwork station.
Whether you are defending the low-leveled, collecting food to nourish the wounded, practicing expert first aid, or just providing a /Hug, your service is recognized and honored throughout all realms. Once again, we thank you for your commitment.
Hi.
Welcome, /Hug volunteer. This is an instructional video for working in the field. On the battlefield, or outside major cities and neutral zones, the world can be a savage place. This is of course amplified by the very nature of racial identity in World of Warcraft. You may be misidentified as Horde or Alliance based on your appearance. This is a common complication for /Hug field agents. This identity issue leads to many unprovoked attacks, also known as ganking. Much of the aid work that /Hug agents provide is outside the safe zones of your home cities and sanctuary ground like Dalaran. In this short training video, we will demonstrate techniques in negotiating dangerous territory where the most important work is done by /Hug volunteers. Number 1. Team up with members of the other faction. As a /Hug volunteer aid worker, it can be treacherous. One of the most effective ways to avoid the gank is to work in tandem with a member of the opposite faction. This may mean you and another /Hug volunteer are working in a room together, so you can translate for the partner from the other faction. Remember, you will be speaking different languages. You might also consider using a voice chat client to speak in real time as you play.
The text is, can I kill it? And I said, please don't. Damn. You said something in Orcish, and I laughed.
This will also allow you to translate for the party member working within the opposite faction. Let us watch now as an Alliance rogue and a Horde mage raid the Kreenig Snarlsnout and the Razormane camp. The player characters point to indicate the mob they are going to attack. The mage starts casting a fireball, and the rogue waits for the attack to hit so that the lower level mage will get the XP and the loot. Again and again, the players provide support, alternating to pick up the XP and the loot. Before long, however, this attracts the attention of a Horde hunter of a much higher level. In this situation, many scenarios can unfold. Let's watch and see what happens. The mage asks the hunter to stand down. Please don't kill my friend. The high-level hunter is reluctant, but decides it is your risk. The hunter shrugs and then rides off, leaving the rogue alone.
Stay strong.
Or the high-level hunter decides it's better to gank the rogue anyway.
For the Horde! Stay strong.
Thank you for watching this instructional video for /Hug Field Agents. To learn more, please visit our website at http://thirdfaction.org or email us at hugs@thirdfaction.org.
DPS, or Demand Player Sovereignty, is a mixed-reality civil disobedience movement started by the Third Faction. Our goal is to subvert the deliberate factional warfare within Azeroth while drawing parallels to synthetic manufactured conflicts taking place in the world at large.
At the 4th Annual Sub-Zero Festival, DPS hosted a field station that provided alternative quests within World of Warcraft and related interactions in the real world. A DPS member in-game gave each participant a quest to convince players on opposing sides to become friends. The real-life quests asked participants to meet a new friend at the festival, someone they may not have met otherwise.
Either take a picture of you and them together as a friend or bring them back to the booth. Do they win the secret? Do I win the secret? You can put it on them. Okay. Okay? Thank you.
Those hoping to receive an achievement badge completed these quests in order to gain reputation with Third Faction.
Through these actions, DPS was successfully able to raise awareness about fabricated conflicts and the need for governmental transparency. Give peace a chance to crit. Join DPS for our next intervention, September 2011, in Istanbul, Turkey. Whose rules do you play by?
I'm the one man army they showing. I never been looking out. I keep MCs looking out. I drop signs like Crosby dropping, baby. Enough to make a nigga go crazy.
Demand player sovereignty, a manifesto for avatar rights. The avatar is an extension of a geophysically defined person, who embodies and inherits rights specified in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, UDHR. Avatars manifest their physical counterparts or users. The avatar is not simply a software representation devoid of agency. We recognize that administrators, code, databases, and hardware fulfill the role of caretakers in game environments. They form an indispensable architecture within which consistent game engagement itself is manufactured. This becomes ineffectual without the full interaction and interplay of the user, the avatar, and the community. We demand a voice. We demand the right to reflect on the underlying code and architecture on which a game environment is constructed. We demand open dialogue with the corporate stakeholders. We demand participatory real-time engagement and feedback according to a dynamic game structure. We demand self-governance. We demand standards of behavior and enforcement that are created by the community. We demand standards that apply to administration, particularly in disciplinary-related actions. We demand corporate reflection on the greater implications of avatar and human user rights in the public sphere. We demand transparency. We demand terms of service, TOS, that are written in plain language. We demand TOS that do more than protect the hosting corporation. We demand codified acknowledgement that clicking through the TOS does not automatically indicate a manufacturing of user or avatar consent. We reject flawed game narratives that harm our community. We reject narratives that conflict with self-evident game-dependent truths and fail to support the in-world history. We reject that avatars and users concede their synthetic rights. The same principles should be inferred to avatars as are in the UDHR. We resolve to create a code of conduct that embraces the diversity of our community as an ongoing open process of avatar self-governance. We resolve to remain an open and transparently governed body, in pursuit of positive change for the community and game environs in general. Signed, Third Faction.
Well, there sure was a lot of information packed into those videos. Any questions?
Yeah. Do I ever? That synthetic word still makes me go, WTF.
It's probably best to think of it as a simple replacement for the term virtual. That way there's little room for confusion. I'm also working on a more in-depth theoretical look at the term as part of my augmentology project. I'm currently formulating the concept of synthetics. Synthetics are not just virtual representations of geophysically based real people. Instead, they are reality-gradated presences that fluctuate in a presence coordinate system that spans the virtual and the phenomenologically real. Synthetics allow for identity formation that utilizes projective structures like avatars, game characters, and social networking profiling to create variable personality constructs like those I mentioned previously. These personality constructs may align closely with a geonormative or geotypical manifestation, similar to the top-level entity that inhabits the virtual or synthetic body of the character. They may or may not only glancingly resemble the actual real person who controls them.
Oh geez, you lost me there. Can we just go back to giving me all the epic tips I need to get all famous and stuff for being a kick-ass digital artist? Like, can you tell me what the next big thing is gonna be, so I can jump on it before every hipster and their dog does?
Well, I still don't think you're getting the point of all of this. The point is to get out there and create something. And if it's not the next best art form, or you're not using the next best software or application, don't worry, there is no such thing as the next big thing, only constant upgrading and reworking. There is, however, the idea of the next best fragment, the next best experimentation, the next best failure. The key is to be persistent and to create work that isn't necessarily dependent on the next best gadget or platform. See what you can make out of what you have, not what you don't. It's all about navigation, about pattern recognition, about the ability to search for and create not only information, but also systems that underpin the data and how they themselves have, or can be, constructed around flows, intentions, and agendas. Even programming languages do this. The constant rewriting of various builds and releases consists of constant revisions and rewrites. The ability to navigate within streams and feeds is crucial. Oh, and by the way, speaking of pattern recognition, have you heard of William Gibson?
Yeah, I think so. He was the final bitching boss in White Male Authors 4, wasn't he?
No. He isn't a game character, though he probably will be eventually. He was the novelist who wrote the seminal cyberpunk novel Neuromancer that referenced The Matrix. You have heard of The Matrix, yes?
Oh yeah, that old movie from the 90s I think? And it was a FTL game, fucking awful.
Well, Gibson reportedly coined the term The Matrix as part of his Neuromancer novel, even though the term and concept were both used a decade before, in 1970s episodes of the British television series Doctor Who.
LOL. That's awesome. But what has that got to do with navigation? Or new media? Or digital art?
Glad you asked. Back in the 1990s, I was asked to write an article about a cyberfeminist arts collective. I referenced the term The Matrix in it, and wanted to elaborate how I thought the writers of Doctor Who had been effectively robbed as the originators of the term, The Matrix. Instead, I condensed it down to a paragraph where I likewise attributed the term to Gibson, instead. These days, if I was placed in the same position, I'd simply start a Tumblr account called original-matrix-reference.tum-bla.com, do an extensive search about the original Doctor Who reference, mash up various Wikipedia entries concerning Gibson, run it all through memegenerator.net, label each meme frame with a clever, still alive white male author guy line, use the hashtag on Twitter called First World Problems, make up a few rage face comics about it, post it to reddit.com, and milk the karma horse. There, so I could do it for the lulz. Sorry, I obviously meant something different by that last sentence.
Wait, what is this? I don't even...
My point in all of this is to highlight the fact that the current electronic standards of attribution, copyright and even definitive identity structuring has become essentially flexible to the point of near non-relevance. Creative Commons copyleft models attempt to deal with this, but there is a growing schism evident between the institutions that demand adherence to this ownership model. Take William Gibson again. If he was to fess up to the fact he allegedly may have been aware of the prior usage of the concept of the Matrix, how would that affect his book's sales? Or his reputation as the forefather of cyberspace itself? His publishing house wouldn't be happy about that. And how about all those academic courses built on the mythologizing of Gibson and cyberspace? His position in the historicizing of information could be in jeopardy. And that's just two institutions that would be threatened by this knowledge. This, in turn, brings up many questions concerning legitimacy. What is legitimate in terms of reliable or trusted and valid information, or sources, or authorship, or standards? How do you quantify quality when all benchmarks of established legitimacy are being actively stripped down to a point that originals and copies, or remixes, are all presented as authentic in their own right? Where do the bestseller lists go then? How do we discern how someone is an expert, or indeed a worthwhile or valid creator, if everyone is?
So you're saying I'll never make any decent bling when I am a big shot digital artist? Huh?
No, I didn't say that. What I'm trying to get at is a broader picture. I'm trying to illustrate the actual environment you and all your peers, and other up-and-comers, will be working in. That is, the overall scale of the changing marketplace and creative industries, and all the institutionalized brick walls you'll go up against in order to actually create something worthwhile. But it's incredibly important not to let those barriers stop you from getting out there and experimenting through play and embracing novelty. So what are you waiting for? Get out there and do it. Now.